Tonight, a humble return to Parliament Hill.
Canadians gave me a lot to think about on Monday night.
Reduced to a minority, rejected in much of the West, Justin Trudeau's plan to reach out. Ian is in Alberta with reaction.
It's something I'm going to have to live with the rest of my life.
CBC News investigates the chain of events the day a Hamilton teen was killed in front of his mother. Is it burnout or something more? We look at the Canadian research on chronic fatigue syndrome.
Umpires are consistently inconsistent.
And how robot umpires could change Major League Baseball forever. This is The National. The victory celebrations behind him, Justin Trudeau now faces the reality in front of him and seemed to acknowledge it won't be easy. Today, speaking to reporters on camera for the first time since election night, Trudeau showed us the first signs of how he'll lead his minority government.
I'm going to take the time necessary to really reflect on how best to serve Canadians and how to work with those other parties.
Reliant on those other parties for his government's survival, weakened across Canada, Trudeau's Liberals were wiped out in Saskatchewan and Alberta. Now, Alberta's premier spoke tonight, underscoring the political gulf confronting the Liberals. We are in Calgary tonight with the view from the west, while in Ottawa, we saw a very different Justin Trudeau than the one we saw on election night. Then he was all about claiming victory and a clear mandate from voters. Now, as David Cochrane shows us, we seem to have a prime minister with regrets.
Reduced to a minority, rebuked in the West, Justin Trudeau says he got the message.
Canadians gave me a lot to think about on Monday night.
At the top of that list, how to connect with Saskatchewan and Alberta, where voters rejected every Liberal on the ballot.
Why did this happen is not the central issue we have. The central issue for me is how do we move forward in a way that responds to the concerns that Albertans and Saskatchewanians have clearly expressed.
Trudeau has already spoken to Jason Kenney and Scott Moe, but he's reaching past the premiers to also speak to the mayors of Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, and Regina. Trudeau has yet to speak with the other party leaders as to how this minority parliament will work, but he's already made a big decision.
There will be various and varied conversations, but I can tell you it is not in our plans at all to form any sort of formal coalition, formal or informal coalition.
So he will count on goodwill or at least good faith after a campaign that saw little of either.
I think many of us regret the tone and the divisiveness and the disinformation.
After weeks of accusations and smears, including from Trudeau himself, the Prime Minister expressed unease over the attacks he used to win.
I think there were big, substantive ideas that weren't fully debated in this election campaign, and I regret that, and I recognize that much of this campaign tended to be around me, and I do hold a bit of responsibility for that.
To improve things, Trudeau says his agenda will focus on affordability and climate change, areas where there is majority consensus in a minority parliament. But on one divisive issue, Trudeau won't budge.
We will be continuing with the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion.
The next big step for Trudeau is to appoint his cabinet, and that will happen on November 20th. The Prime Minister says he plans to stick with a gender-balanced cabinet, though he will have to find a creative solution to find new ministers from Alberta and Saskatchewan. David Cochrane, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, that strong link to the West may be especially important right now. Alberta's budget drops tomorrow, and cuts are expected. Ian is there, where Premier Jason Kenney addressed the province tonight.
And Andrew, that speech focused on pain and blame. Fair to say many here were disenchanted with the Trudeau government long before election night. Here, where I am in Calgary, the scars of the oil glut are real. About a quarter of the real estate in downtown Calgary is vacant. Across the province, unemployment well above the national average. Aaron Collins has more on the mood here in Alberta, including from a premier keen to tap into the anger directed at Ottawa.
Let me be clear. This will be a challenging budget.
Far from a pep talk, Jason Kenney lays out the case for deep budget cuts while laying the blame for them at the feet of a familiar foe.
The storm clouds of a potential global recession are on the horizon, And we now have a federal government that has actively campaigned against our province's vital economic interests.
For his part, Justin Trudeau says he hasn't given up on Alberta, even if Albertans appear to have given up on him.
There's a lot of thinking to do on that, and a lot of listening to Albertans, as I have endeavored to do over the past number of years, but obviously I'm going to have to do a lot more.
But on the streets of Calgary, little trust that there's weight behind those words and a yearning for action.
So I was hoping a change to a Conservative or some other government that wants jobs, wants oil and the pipeline pushed through, but I just don't feel any hope with this government at all.
Byron Nelson knows Alberta's Conservatives. Nelson ran against Jason Kenney for the old PC party leadership. And he says many Albertans are fed up with Confederation.
But I've heard separatist sentiment rise higher in Calgary over the last year or so than I have at any time during my lifetime.
And most people here are committed to Canada, but frustration lingers, a sense that Alberta pays more than its fair share.
A Western separation, no. The transfer payments, yes, I do. I'm on board with that. If you think our oil's dirty, then don't take our money.
Kenney's speech tonight focused on tomorrow's provincial budget, but that didn't stop the Premier from taking a parting shot at Justin Trudeau.
Given the government that we're facing in Ottawa now, we must be self-reliant to protect our future.
But with cuts on the way, angry Albertans could soon have a target in Edmonton as well as Ottawa. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
And we're joined here by Monty Solberg, a former Alberta MP for a long time, 15 years, I think, cabinet minister in the Conservative government. And give us your perspective on how people in Alberta are feeling.
Well, as a friend said to me the other day, they're blood angry. People are as upset as I've ever seen them in my many years in and around politics. And I think that reflects some of the divisiveness, not just of the election campaign, but going back for a while. You touched on it, Ian. All these empty buildings, a lot of people out of work, people who've lost their homes, suicides are going through the roof. It's a very tough time here, and I think Albertans are frustrated that they feel no one's listening.
So the Prime Minister says that he wants to address it. Sounds like he might be listening. If he were to come to you for advice, what would you tell him?
I would say to do that, to listen to what Albertans are saying, what Premier Kenney is saying, spend some time here and talk seriously about how we address the economic issues in Alberta. We've heard a lot about climate change. That's important. But it's really important to start to talk to people about how we get the province back on its feet economically, and probably how we start to move oil through those pipelines.
And we have about 15 seconds left. Do you think that this is something that can be healed in the short term, in the next couple of years, in terms of the sentiment?
It's going to take some doing. It's going to take action, actually, and that's the only way that Albertans are going to start to trust anyone in Ottawa again.
Well, you know this sentiment. You were one of the early Reform MPs the West wanted in, and we're hearing that kind of language once again. Monty Solberg, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Ian.
As you heard, it will be a big day tomorrow at the Alberta Legislature. Budget Day. I'll be there in Edmonton with what it means for Alberta and its relationship with Ottawa. For now, back to you in Toronto, Andrew.
Okay, sounds good, Ian. CBC News has been investigating events that led to the stabbing death of a 14-year-old Ontario boy and charges of first-degree murder against two other teens. Just weeks ago, Devin Brackie-Selby was attacked near his school as his mother watched in horror. Ellen Morrow spoke to multiple people about what led to that terrible moment.
As a memorial placed outside the high school starts to fade, it's unlikely Sean Wagar's memory of that awful day ever will.
It's something I'm going to have to live with the rest of my life, unfortunately.
His son was a close friend of Devin Brackie-Selby, pictured on the right. Wagar had gone to the school that morning, Devin's mom too, both parents there as they had been repeatedly over the bullying of their sons.
How did you feel having to do that over and over again?
I was getting tired. But then, what else are we supposed to do? We trust in the system, and the system failed.
As they were leaving the school, the deadly chain of events began. Wagar says Devin pointed out a group at the arena across the street that he said included his bullies.
Brody was on my left, and
Wagar confronted them.
I says, we'll go over there and we'll talk to the kids and, we'll sort something out,
But things quickly escalated. Wagar says he was doused with bear spray by the 18-year-old suspect.
And all of a sudden, he just let that thing rip. And
Wagar admits hitting the teen after he was sprayed.
I went to a place to calm it down, and I kind of feel like I was the trigger.
As Wagar went inside the school to flush out his eyes, Devin ran down a side street, pursued by a group of kids to the back of the school. There, Devin was stabbed in the back, allegedly by the second suspect, a 14-year-old.
Everyone failed my son, even I did. I tried to save him and I couldn't get to him in time.
All of it happening in the view of Devin's mother.
Every time I close my eyes, it's there. So I don't close my eyes. If I don't close my eyes, I can't relive it.
School board officials are investigating what happened, but they've already said they don't believe they failed Devin.
What was your reaction to the stabbing?
I wasn't surprised at all.
This woman, an elementary school teacher in the district, accuses the board of being weak on discipline. CBC News is concealing her identity because she fears losing her job for speaking out.
This is where the high school students are coming from, where they pretty much can do whatever they want. And there's violence pretty much on a daily basis with very little consequences.
But the consequences are all too real for those who love Devin.
This is so senseless. The entire situation, they should have done me, stabbed me. I would have took it and left a 14-year-old to live.
So, Ellen, that's a hell of a story. What more can you tell us about the school and the school board, too?
Well, we actually looked closely at how the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board tracked school violence, and we found the board has a history of submitting inaccurate or incomplete figures, and they are not the only ones. In a months-long investigation, we discovered a lot of reporting gaps, both in Ontario and the rest of Canada. And if school boards, Andrew, are not thoroughly tracking student violence, how can anyone be confident that governments know what's going on and are taking the necessary steps to keep kids safe?
Right. Okay. Ellen Morrow, thanks very much. And I'll say that is a question that has inspired an entire special investigative series that we're actually starting tomorrow morning right across CBC News. So we surveyed more than 4,000 youth across Canada about their experiences with violence throughout their school lives, from kindergarten to high school. I'm going to be bringing you some of those shocking answers, plus an expert panel with solutions. So tune into our series, School Violence, starting tomorrow on CBC News. Ottawa City Council turned against one of its own today. In an unprecedented move, they turned down a councillor who had requested leave for medical reasons. And the reason why, a number of women have alleged to CBC News that he has acted inappropriately. Now, when Joanne Chianello broke this story 2 months ago, the councillor dropped out of public view. But now she brings us today's developments.
Councillor McKenney.
No. One by one, councillors took a stand against their colleague, and what had been simmering for months was decided in minutes. Councillor Rick Shirelli losing his bid for a leave of absence, an unheard of decision at City Hall.
As you saw today, there was precious little support for Councillor Shirelli, and I think as more allegations come forward, it becomes more disgusting and very upsetting as to what was going on in his office.
City Council voted shortly after CBC News reported new allegations dating back 3 years. Brittany Lees is the 13th woman to describe inappropriate behavior from Shirelli. Like others, she says her former employer asked her to wear revealing clothing and took her to bars to recruit so-called volunteers.
We left, we drove around Montreal, and then he pulled out a little red dress and said, "You need to go and get some volunteers at this club."
Lees quit after 18 months, but she says Shirelli called her this summer to ask her if she'd come back. In the brief conversation, she mentioned she'd lost weight.
He was like, "That's good. Can you still wear the clothes? And did you lose your boobs?"
In a statement, Shirelli denied all allegations, saying he's never treated anyone in an inappropriate manner, and that he's the target of an orchestrated political strategy. He also protested that some of his accusers were allowed to stay anonymous. Victoria Lauber says Shirelli asked her to wear a see-through shirt without a bra.
You can't make that stuff up. You can't. And to say that it's anonymous, hi, my name's Victoria. I'm not anonymous. Sorry.
Now that his leave has been denied, Shirelli will have to return to council before the end of November, or his seat will be declared vacant. Joanne Chianello, CBC News, Ottawa.
To the UK now, and the story of a perilous journey with a terrible end east of the British capital. 39 people were found dead in a tractor trailer, almost certainly human trafficking victims. And as Renee Filipponi tells us, their final hours would have been cramped, cold, and desperate.
An industrial park an hour east of London became a gruesome crime scene. Inside this container truck, the bodies of 38 adults and one teenager.
This matter has attracted national and international interest, and it's absolutely imperative that the operation is conducted with the utmost respect for the 39 people who've lost their lives.
For truckers who come here every day, it was difficult to comprehend.
It's horrible. It's just quite difficult to believe as that's happening quite close to the place where you're working.
Tragic, absolutely terrible, yeah. It's such a shame. Obviously trying to get over here for a better life.
The cargo trailer arrived in Britain on a ferry from Belgium. It was collected by a driver early this morning at a port on the River Thames. Not long after, surveillance video shows it pulling into the industrial park. The driver has been arrested on suspicion of murder. Local media identified him as Mo Robinson from Northern Ireland.
This is an unimaginable tragedy and truly heartbreaking. I know that the thoughts and prayers of all members are with those who lost their lives and their loved ones.
These smaller ports are becoming increasingly popular with criminals, smuggling migrants from mainland Europe and beyond. 5 years ago, not far from this crime scene, police opened a container with dozens of migrants. One man died. And many today recalled nearly 20 years ago when 58 Chinese migrants died in a similar way. In late afternoon, the truck, almost like a hearse, took the 39 bodies to a secure location as they try and figure out who the victims are. Police say this will be a difficult investigation involving many jurisdictions, and it could take a long time to find out how 39 people ended up dead in a truck here. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Grays, Essex.
We have more news ahead on The National, including the unlikely protest anthem in Lebanon and an emotional moment of neighborly sacrifice in the fields of Saskatchewan.
And we're watching more drama in Washington today. A chaotic scene as Republican lawmakers stormed an impeachment inquiry. We'll take you there right after this. We're back in 2 minutes. Donald Trump is lifting the sanctions he imposed on Turkey 9 days ago. The U.S. president says Turkey has promised a permanent ceasefire in northern Syria. And as the CBC's Stephen D'Souza tells us, Trump isn't being shy about taking all the credit.
Countless lives are now being saved as a result of our negotiation with Turkey.
Hailing it as a major breakthrough, Donald Trump said all sanctions against Turkey would be dropped as he announced a permanent ceasefire between Turkish and Kurdish forces in northern Syria.
This was an outcome created by us, the United States, and nobody else.
But some say Trump is ending a conflict he started. His abrupt decision to remove U.S. forces from northeastern Syria earlier this month gave Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan a green light to attack long-standing enemies, the Kurds. The fighting displaced thousands and saw Trump heavily criticized by both Democrats and Republicans. Criticism, today's announcement, did little to stop.
We abandoned the Kurds, our allies. We abandoned our ability to continue to put a ceiling on top of ISIS, and we capitulated. It wasn't a negotiation. We capitulated to what Erdogan and the Russians want.
The Russians now step into a void left by the U.S. departure. After signing a deal Tuesday, they, along with Turkey, now control the region, are responsible for the ceasefire and the fate of the Kurds.
Let someone else fight over this long, blood-stained sand.
Trump's speech seemed to echo George W. Bush's 2003 declaration that major combat operations were over in Iraq. even though soldiers remain there to this day. The chief threat here is the return of ISIS.
You cannot rely on Syria, Russia, or Turkey to protect the United States against ISIS.
And while the general in charge of Kurdish forces did thank Trump for his efforts today, they're not out of the woods yet. Russia has warned that if the Kurds don't withdraw from the region, the Russians wouldn't stand in the way of a renewed Turkish military attack. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Okay, now let's get to Ian in Calgary. He's watching developing stories for us, including a chaotic scene in Washington today.
Well, Andrew, in a dramatic confrontation, a group of more than 24 Republicans stormed the hearing room being used in the impeachment inquiry against Donald Trump.
Let's see if we can get in.
At one point, Republicans threatened to take video and pictures of the hearings, which are being held behind closed doors. They ultimately delayed testimony by a key Pentagon witness for about 4 hours. The impeachment inquiry is focused on the president's request for Ukraine to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden. The Trump administration has also taken aim at a cap-and-trade agreement signed between California and Quebec. A shared carbon market program was established in 2013, allowing for the purchase and sale of greenhouse gas emission credits. The U.S. government is now accusing California of overreaching, claiming the deal amounts to a foreign treaty. Quebec says that even if California leaves, the market will carry on, saying other states are interested in joining. And a somber memorial was held in Nova Scotia today to mark 50 years since a tragic explosion on HMCS Kootenay.
This is painful still to talk about it 50 years later.
It is. Hundreds gathered in Halifax to commemorate the 9 men killed. 53 others were injured during the naval exercise off the coast of England. It's the Royal Canadian Navy's worst peacetime disaster. We'll be back from Calgary later in the hour with more developing stories, including tough questions for Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. That's in 20 minutes. For now, back to Toronto.
And still ahead on The National, a story that's a real game changer, literally.
Certain pitches they get wrong almost 30% of the time.
The highs and lows of putting a robot behind the plate, sort of. We're going in depth next.
Let's see what they come with on 3 and 2. Got him looking.
Well, that was just one strike call from last night's opening game of the World Series. And in the end, easy to take for granted, the home plate umpire made the right call. But the reality is that doesn't always happen unless, let's say, you were to replace the humans with computers. Sound a little out there? Well, it is happening as part of a pilot project to fix the game. I had a chance to see this new technology in action and its track record of accuracy, one pitch at a time.
A historic day here with TrackMan being implemented here at New Britain Stadium.
A lot of out-of-town markets are here. CBC is here, out of Canada. The New York Times is here.
All here to see this guy. The umpire, the masked man behind the plate. There's a saying in baseball, the best umpire is the one you never notice. Except today, all eyes are on Tim Rosso. You see, despite appearances, Tim is not calling the shots today. A computer is doing it for him. It's called TrackMan, and as you'll hear from the league's commissioner, Rick White, it's pretty precise.
TrackMan itself uses a Doppler radar system where they have 3 lasers fixed on a point, in this case its home plate. As a ball crosses the plate, that communication then transmits to the umpire on the field where he hears the word strike or the word ball, and then he signals that. It delivers a standardized product, and the consistency from umpire to umpire, day to day, inning to inning, is something that really does need improvement.
Call, strike 3.
It's botched calls like this TrackMan is trying to prevent. Take a look at that pitch again. And as you can see, the technology to accurately call a pitch already exists. You see it on TV every day, and they even use it to train umpires. But replacing them with it, that's new. And according to Mark Williams, sorely needed. He's a professor at Boston University with a keen interest in baseball.
How consistent are umpires?
Well, it's interesting. Looking at the data, we looked at over 4 million pitches over 11 seasons, starting in 2008 through 2018. And what we found is umpires are consistently inconsistent.
Here's what he's talking about. Data direct from Major League Baseball. And you can see how detailed it is. On this day, this pitcher threw a sinker in the bottom of the first, and the umpire called it a strike. He was wrong.
In general, umpires get it wrong almost 10% of the time. That's all pitches. But certain pitches they get wrong almost 30% of the time. And that's across all umpires in Major League Baseball. So this isn't just 1, 2, or 10 umpires. This is actually 76 umpires.
To understand why they're getting it so wrong, consider the strike zone. So I'm at bat. For a pitch to be a strike, the ball has to cross home plate and come roughly between my knees and my chest. If it's a human umpire watching, that's a judgment call.
Why are those calls so hard to make?
Well, I think it's obstructed, right? So we have the catcher and we have the umpire behind, we have the batter like yourself. So it's hard to actually see all of the plate. So that's number one. And I think two is some umpires just do a better job of anticipating where the ball is going to move and get into the plate. You know, my argument is not to, fire the umps and hire the technology. It's really to use the technology so umpires can make better decisions.
Okay, so we wanted to give you a sense of what the TrackMan system actually sounds like, what the umpire is hearing. But the thing is, it's so proprietary that Major League Baseball actually stepped in at the last second to tell us, no, you can't record that. They did let us listen to it live, though. And so I can tell you what's striking about it is how quickly the computer can make the call. Watch this. Ball. It's actually that fast.
We could have put 2 lights out in center field and had a red light come up when it was a ball and a green light come up when it was a strike. But we felt that took some of the focus and control of the game out of the umpire's hands.
So what role does the umpire still have? Well, technically, the umpire is allowed to overrule the system, but even then, only in a really egregious case, like if the ball hits the dirt before crossing home plate. Otherwise, even borderline calls, the umpire is supposed to defer to the computer. And if you ask players, like starting pitcher Devin Burke, that's not a good thing. He wants the umpire to be part of the game. For example, to be able to reward a pitcher with a strike, even if it's a borderline ball.
If you can show you an umpire you can consistently hit a spot, they usually give it to you, 9 times out of 10. But if you consistently hit a spot that's outside the zone now, you're walking guys. It's going to be it's a love-hate relationship probably going forward, honestly.
And if you want to talk about love-hate relationships, just talk to the fans.
You're doubtful.
I am doubtful, very much so. I like the old system. I'll tell you that again. I was happy the way the old system worked.
Even if there were disagreements on the field?
Oh, absolutely. I like the disagreement once in a while.
So when you're watching baseball, myself, I really get into it. So I yell at the umpires, I yell at the players, and I feel like I lost that one part where I can't yell at the umpire anymore.
Because he's right all the time.
Because no matter what, he's right.
I've been umpiring for 13 years, and this is the first time that I've had to listen to a machine, tell me what to call.
Remember Tim Rosso, the umpire? Well, we got to speak with him after his very first TrackMan game, and you can tell he's a bit conflicted. He wants to believe the computer can help him, but...
Was it always accurate?
For the most part.
You hesitated there.
Yeah, for the most part. I feel like there was a few pitches.
Like you actually disagreed with the call?
Yeah, I thought the first pitch in the bottom of the first to Bijan was on the outside corner.
He takes the first pitch outside for ball 1, the Bees.
So I don't think anything is ever going to be perfect. I feel like, baseball is an imperfect game. And if you put science into it to try to make it perfect, I don't think that there'll ever be a finish line,
Let me put it a different way. There can only be one best umpire, right? Can only be one worst, and there's everybody in between. And the best umpire calling balls and strikes now has been joined, in our case, by 80 other umpires who are also calling accurate balls and strikes. So does it take the game out of their hands? Yes, but I wouldn't say that the game ever should have been in their hands.
Now, bear in mind, this is just a pilot project. There's no timeline for Major League Baseball to actually adopt this at all. But most people seem to think it's inevitable. Coming soon, just a question of when.
I didn't know if they started it already.
Right, not in the major leagues.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, not in the major leagues.
That's when they're going to start in Boston.
Yeah, well, they'll see how this
After,
goes.
okay, we'll see how this goes.
But you're doubtful. Now, if you're wondering how the rest of the season has gone since, Major League Baseball will present its results tomorrow when the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball has its board meeting. And just wait until next season when they plan to move the pitcher's mound farther back, all part of yet another experiment. Okay, still ahead on The National. An inside look at the Canadian research helping 500,000 Canadians suffering from what's commonly known as chronic fatigue. That's next. It is a debilitating disease that affects more than 500,000 Canadians. Yet patients living with myalgic encephalomyelitis, more commonly known as chronic fatigue syndrome, say their suffering has been ignored for decades. Until now. As health reporter Vic Adopia explains, research on diagnosing and ultimately treating the disease is finally underway in Canada.
Rest your arm.
Researchers are trying to find out why Marie-Josée Ménard is sick. Routine medical tests suggest she's fine, but she's not.
Awful. Awful. There were days I could barely get my arms up to drive.
The Montreal mom and teacher suddenly started feeling this way a decade ago. It took years before she was finally diagnosed with ME, myalgic encephalomyelitis. At first, the crushing fatigue and near paralysis was diagnosed as depression. That's common for people with ME.
It was in my head. People around me were just telling me, just get on with it. Oh, you're just tired. Everybody gets tired.
Chronic fatigue syndrome, or myalgic encephalomyelitis, was first identified in the 1980s. The prescribed treatment at the time was psychotherapy and exercise. It's an approach that has been long discredited, yet the idea that it is somehow a psychological illness persists, setting back research and recognition. Alain Moreau leads a network of ME researchers, created only recently after getting a research grant from the same federal agency which actually rejected his application a few years back after saying ME was not a disease, even though it's recognized by the World Health Organization and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. Moreau relies on 200 patient volunteers for his research. Some can barely move.
85% of the patients that we are testing are unique individuals that are so severely affected they are housebound, which means that we need to send clinical research nurses at home to do the testing.
Researchers are studying certain stress responses in the blood cells and spinal fluid of ME patients. Ron Davis is a pioneer in DNA sequencing. The Stanford professor is now focused on helping ME patients like his son. With a new test that's already accurately identified the blood samples of a small group of ME patients, Davis says developing a reliable test is critical because ME is still diagnosed based only on physical symptoms.
I've seen so many doctors say, well, if you don't have a diagnostic molecular test, then I don't believe the disease exists.
For Marie-Josée Ménard, volunteering for these tests takes a toll. But the hardest part is the price paid by her children.
Not being able to be there for them.
But she says she'll keep doing the tests if it helps lead to a treatment. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Montreal.
And Ian is up next on The National with a look at stories developing around the world. But first, in case you missed it, another rendition of Baby Shark goes viral, but this time in Lebanon. Now, here's the story. For about a week now, the streets of Beirut have been packed with anti-government protesters who are angry over a struggling economy, crumbling infrastructure, and widespread corruption. Now, over the weekend, a mother was driving in the capital when a crowd surrounded her car. She apparently asked the protesters to keep it down because her 15-month-old son was scared. And that's when they spontaneously broke into that hit children's song. Now, if the boy looks more confused than comforted, rest assured, his mother told Reuters that now, whenever he watches the video, he starts laughing. And so, the song itself finding new life, perhaps as a quite unexpected protest anthem.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on the CBC's daily news podcast Front Burner, Donald Trump has announced a permanent ceasefire in northeastern Syria. But a lot of people are saying it's not a stable peace. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Calgary. We're watching developing stories around the world, including authorities in Hong Kong formally scrapping the extradition bill that sparked months of angry demonstrations. If passed, the bill would have allowed suspected criminals to be sent to mainland China. It was seen as the latest attempt by Beijing to tighten its grip on Hong Kong. But today's move only meets one of the demands made by demonstrators who are calling for a broader campaign for democratic change in the semi-autonomous Chinese city. Today, the leader of Israel's Blue and White Party, Benny Gantz, was given the official mandate to form the next government, but it won't be easy. With today's mandate, Gantz will have 28 days to build a ruling coalition. Failure could lead to a new election, a third in just 1 year. The move comes after longtime Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu abandoned his efforts to form a government. Gantz has invited Netanyahu's party negotiators to a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Mark Zuckerberg faced pushback in the U.S. Congress today for his plan to create a digital currency.
Now, I believe that this is something that needs to get built, but I get that I'm not the ideal messenger for this right now.
The Facebook CEO says the currency called Libra could help more people participate in the global financial system. Libra has faced criticism from lawmakers, saying it could help money launderers and destabilize the global financial system. Partners including MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, and eBay have all abandoned the project. And California has begun another round of planned blackouts.
In total, these shutoffs will affect about 179,000 customers and touch portions of 17 counties.
Hot weather and strong winds have heightened concerns of wildfires in the state. Officials say an additional 300,000 customers in Southern California could also face blackouts in the coming days. This follows rolling blackouts earlier this month that affected more than 2 million people and shut down schools and businesses across the state. Next, on The National, all through the election campaign, we followed undecided Canadians from a generation of voters, millennials. So, now that it's all said and done, how did they vote? And how do they feel about the outcome? Their final check-in is next.
This must be it.
The entrance to the underworld.
Is Murdoch dabbling with the dark side?
There's evil up there.
What was that? And don't tell me that was nothing. That was definitely something.
Murdoch Mysteries, Monday at 8 on CBC and CBC Gem.
Close to 66% of eligible voters cast their ballots in Monday's federal election. And while it's still too early to know how many of those were millennials, for the first time, that group represented the largest voting bloc, including these 5. When we first introduced them to you, they were undecided. We watched them weigh their options over the past 6 weeks, and tonight, we wanted to check in with them one last time after the vote.
In
terms of the election results, they were a bit of a mixed bag for me.
I was kind of expecting the outcome that we've seen.
So I'm very happy that Justin Trudeau is our new Prime Minister.
As you all know by now, I am not a Trudeau fan. I'm really surprised that Canadians decided to put him in for another 4 years.
Our system maybe needs a little bit of work when popular vote doesn't quite equate anywhere near to the outcome.
Hi, my name is Emily.
Hi, I'm Christian Hebert.
Hi, my name is Saba Chaudhry.
Hi, my name is Petros.
Hello, my name is Katie Baudouin.
And I voted for the NDP.
And I voted for Adam Vaughan from the Liberal Party.
I voted Conservative. I'm glad that in this minority government, the Conservatives do have a higher seat count this time, so I think we'll have more of a voice there.
I'm not a fan of minority governments. I don't believe that they can get as much done, and it causes them to have to collaborate a whole bunch more.
I didn't think that the Bloc Québécois would have increased its influence in Quebec to this extent. And I think this is going to be really interesting in terms of the dynamics we'll see in the new government.
It feels pretty good to know that Maxime Bernier and his party were electorally crushed in the results as well, and that there was a resounding rejection of his ideology.
I'm a little surprised with the results. I think that what we're seeing is that our country is far more fragmented than we realize.
On the one hand, it was surprising to see how many seats the Conservatives gained nationally. And you really get a sense that there's a regional divide in this country.
So I actually think that Justin Trudeau has his work cut out for him.
I hope he really looks long and hard at Saskatchewan and Alberta. Those two provinces are extremely important to Canada, and it seems like the leaders constantly just focus on the east. So
it'll be really interesting to see how the Liberals focus on Saskatchewan and Alberta and try to really repair the divisiveness of this campaign.
Although it's a very divided parliament, I really see this as an opportunity for cooperation, and I really hope that the other parties will see that as well.
It's also going to be interesting and a bit exciting to see how these leaders who've been doing it out for the past 40 days, all of a sudden making amends and playing nice with one another.
I definitely see an alliance in the future between the Liberal Party and the NDP.
So my biggest hope for this new government is that they truly move forward with their climate action plan.
My hopes for this new government is that we're going to tackle inequality, we're going to tackle climate change, and we're ultimately going to make Canada a more just and equitable country.
And what am I most excited about? I honestly can't say much. With a minority government, it feels, in most cases, that we're just looking towards an election again in 18 to 24 months.
My hope is that when they are discussing, when they are compromising, their focus is on what is best for Canadian citizens.
Canada's pretty good, as it is. We definitely have improvements that we need to make, but I think it's good if we take these steps slowly.
Okay, next on The National, he left behind a wife, 4 boys, and an unharvested field. The emotional story of how neighbors came together after one farmer's untimely death. It's a moment you will not want to miss.
This must be it.
The entrance to the underworld.
Is Murdoch dabbling with the dark side?
There's evil up there. What was that? And don't tell me that was nothing. That was definitely something.
Murdoch Mysteries, Monday at 8 on CBC and CBC Gem. CBC, Canada's Paralympic Network.
It is the slowest harvest in Saskatchewan in at least 40 years, and many farmers are well behind schedule. But that didn't stop some in Southie from giving up their Saturday after a local farmer passed away. Trevor Burkan left behind a wife and 4 young boys, as well as more than 300 acres of unharvested crops. So his neighbors organized a community harvest to help the family out, and that is our moment of the day.
Well, I knew that Trevor had lots of harvest left out in the field, and I'm one of very, very many that asked the question of how we can help.
I didn't have to put out a message. People came to us, literally. It was unreal, the amount of people that no matter how much harvesting they had left, they were coming. You say the day, it doesn't matter.
Every community in Saskatchewan, for sure, and like I said, Western Canada, the people get together and they help out when someone's in need, and that's the great part about being from small town Saskatchewan.
He was a great guy, heavily involved in the community and would do anything for you. He would have been the first guy there if the roles were reversed. A devastating loss for the community.
We did him proud.
You know, Ian, we often, hear platitudes about small acts of kindness, small gestures. I look at that. That's a big act of kindness. That is a big deal, what they did there. My hat off to them.
You know, we've been doing the moment now for about 2 years, almost 2 years, and this is exactly what it's built for. To acknowledge what, as you point out, is a big act of kindness, a Canadian act of kindness, to give those people a little bit of credit, but also, I'll bet, inspire a lot of people who are watching as well.
Yeah, no, for sure, that's something. That's the National for this Wednesday, October 23rd. Have a good night.
Good night.